Hi, Tonya. Hi, Right. How are you? I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right. Uh, thank you for joining us. Hi, Nadia. How are you?
Hi, Melody.
Hi,
Hi.
Tonya. How are you?
It's so weird. Did you hear me earlier? I think
No?
I think my system. I had it all set up, and now it's not acting correctly. So we'll have to figure it
Oh,
out. I had music
yeah.
playing in the background and everything. I can hear everything, but I don't know. It's so crazy. I had
I,
everything.
I I thought you were setting up, so that's why I was a bit quiet.
Oh,
Just give you time. Mm-hmm.
no worries. Let me just put my headphones on. Yeah, I thought we were. I'm so excited to use my new toy. I'm talking about. I used it before, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know what happened. Let me just go ahead and turn off this machine because I don't want to. I'm gonna have to test it again. And let me go ahead and put on my headphone. Okay, hey everyone, welcome to my Fun Friday chat. And this week, I have my special guest on. Actually, we met, we bonded, we took a long chat. Melody, Melody, you know what? I can't. I'm gonna attempt to pronounce your name, but I think you should do it for me. So, but I want to thank Nadir for joining and also Ritesh for joining. But we are only. It's gonna be a chat, and then we'll open up the Q&A. The last 20 minutes, 30 minutes of the space. The space goes on for 60 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and share with a tweet. And if everybody else, can you please send this out? And I promise some people I would send this into the space. And let's see. I was added this one big long space, so now I can't figure out what to do with it. So let me go ahead and put it in here. I'll just set it in here and share with a tweet. Join me now. And then And at the moment, we're live streaming onto Twitch and YouTube.
Ooh,
Yeah, in my space, Fun Friday chat with, okay.
Melody Chadamoyo is my
Ah,
name. And
Chadamoyo. Oh,
yeah.
okay. Oh, I love your name.
Thank you.
It's like music, if you think about it.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Fun story. So my dad loved music, and he gave me my name when my mom was 3 months pregnant with me. So I've had my name longer than most people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your name is beautiful. And is there a meaning behind it, or is it just because he loved that name and he named you at 3 months before you were born?
No, not before I was born. 3 months, when I was conceived, or when my mom was 12 weeks pregnant. That's when he named me.
Wow. Did he have a dream or something? 'Cause
Yeah, he said he wanted his firstborn to be a girl, and he
yeah.
knew I was going to be a girl, and I turned out to be a girl. I don't know what he would have done if I turned out, as a boy. What would have happened? But anyway,
Oh my
he
gosh.
got it right. Hmm.
So before we start, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself? I am going to share out, and I'm running a. I have to check on the analytics, but why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and about you? You are known as the love expert, so I'm curious about that. So let's talk about that a bit. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Um, my name is Melody. I am a relationship expert. I live in Ireland, Dublin, Ireland, and I came from Zimbabwe about 22 years ago with my husband, and we settled here. We came here for 2 years, and we ended up staying staying forever. And I became a relationship expert because after we migrated, I discovered that I was very, very, very unhappy in my relationship, and I just did not like my husband anymore. But I decided I couldn't leave because it was difficult. We had a baby, and financially didn't make sense. But I still wanted to find a way for me to be able to look forward to going home because I realized I had been avoiding going home, going to friends, going shopping, doing other things before I went home. So I then realized that the most important thing for me was to start loving myself. And I started doing that by, going dancing with my friends, taking care of me, and going to the gym, reading again, doing my hobbies, things that I love to do, instead of just focusing on giving, giving, giving to him and to our baby. And the more I did that, the more reconnected we did because I was happier, I was more relaxed. I was, because I was happier, I was more compassionate and understanding, I think. And so we got back on the right track. And it wasn't just a right track, it was a more advanced right track where we appreciated each other and we're really grateful for the opportunity to spend our lives together because I realized then that I had been taking him for granted, and he had been taking me for granted as well.
I think in every relationship we all go through that, right? And communication is the key. So, but the fact that
Yeah.
you left I mean, you didn't left your state or your city, or you left the continent. Tell us about that. Oh my gosh, you're brave.
I did. So when we left the continent, we had just lost our baby, and we were very upset, and we wanted to find. Sometimes we run away from pain thinking you are leaving it behind, but you carry it with you. And that's exactly what we did. We carried our pain with us. And I think it was the trauma of losing a baby so young, and also the whole culture shock of finding ourselves in a white country was so difficult that we just thought, okay, let's, you know, let's figure out how to be people again. And that took time. That took time to find ourselves, let alone each other. Because I believe in relationships, you need to be yourself, okay, yourself, in order to be able to give to the other person. So being in Ireland was difficult because the culture here is very secretive. Like, people are not open. They don't tell you what they're thinking. They don't tell you how they're feeling. So you're always trying to read between the lines, which can be very exhausting.
I feel that, I think my good friend Aria made a comment about assumption, right? Where he did a whole space about, assumptions. And it's just when
Mhm.
you start assuming things, like, and I
Mhm.
think that's the problem also in relationships, assumption. Like we assume things, but we really don't talk about it.
Yeah, and and it's so many times with my clients, they would say, "Oh, he's doing this," and I'll say, "Did you ask him? Did you have that conversation and he told you this is the reason why he's doing it?" No, but I just know. And I said, 9 times out of 10, what you think is the reason is never the reason. If you have a conversation about it, you would discover that actually there's a much more loving and much more compassionate reason for him doing this. you are perceiving it from a fear space. So you he's trying to attack you, he's trying to hurt you, but really he's trying to show you he loves you, and you are perceiving it's not because of your own stuff. So working on your own stuff is very important.
I had to put the record button because we're streaming, and I didn't want people to know. And actually, we have like 31 people listening to us. Because I promote a lot the links outside of Twitter. I don't like, there's a lot going on in Twitter, but the link
Okay.
nowadays you can share the link out and people off Twitter can listen it in. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So they can just click it. I send it to all my friends. Like I'll just text it to all of them. But here we go. I just texted one of them. One more. So yeah. So like I was on your website and I was looking at all your things and
Mm.
tell us about that because you are very social. Oh my gosh, your website looks incredible, by the way.
Thank you.
Tell me about that. Like how long did you pay someone to build that, or did you do it yourself?
I paid someone to do it for me because I'm not very techy. I get frustrated 9 times out of 10 when I
Oh
try
my
to do
gosh.
anything technology. I yeah, it's too many steps. I want to just jump and get there.
Well, I love your laugh too. So, yeah, I believe in that too. I learned how to do my own website because I was going through a stage when I had just had to learn. I have this thing. I just want to learn how it works, and then I get somebody else to do the rest of the other stuff. Because. But then sometimes it takes a lot of time. So if you don't have the time to do it, it
Yeah.
consumes you. So yeah, it consumed me when I build my stuff. So how do you get your clients? I mean, like you have worked on yourself. You always might remind me of like you remember that movie? Have you ever seen that movie? Stella got her groove by the woman who was going
Uh,
to. Have you ever seen that?
no.
It was really
No.
cool how the woman she was married
Mhm.
and she went through menopause and
Mhm.
he left and she was with someone for a long time and they were no longer together. And there's just the whole thing about her going away to Jamaica, and it just shows how she was just like at first she was kind of having a hard time with it, and then she just got her groove, and she met somebody. So
Yeah.
so I kind of like want to talk to you a little bit about that. So as a love expert, are
Mm.
do you see yourself? Because we talk, we act. That's how you and I started, right?
Yes, this is how we
you know,
started. Yeah.
you know. Actually I'm gonna change the title online. I'm gonna change it to online dating
Mm.
because I'm kind of like I want to know more about um, what as the love expert. Um, do you talk to your clients about online dating, or do you only work with women who already have a partner already, or do you work with women to help them get a partner?
So I do both. I work with women that are dating, that are looking to date. I don't talk to them about online dating because I don't feel like I'm a good expert for that. I talk to people about how to make sure that you are ready to even see or be seen by the right person, which means you have to work through your stuff. You need to remove the hurt, the pain, the heartbreak that you have been carrying, and the gunk that we all carry in our lives, and we don't realize we're carrying gunk. So we work with that and we remove that and we make sure your heart is free and open to meet the right person wherever you're meeting them. And unfortunately for me, my husband passed away after I learned a gazillion things about love and relationships. When things were working so well, and like all our friends would be like, he's a magical guy, and I'm like, no, he's a pain in the butt, but we work at this. We work at this every day. We appreciate each other every day, and so when I talk to clients, I usually talk to them about how to get ready for love and how to meet the right person. I haven't I tried online dating because my husband passed away years ago and it didn't work out for me, but because I've said this to you before. I'm an energy person. I feel people. I need to feel your energy. And and online dating does not allow you to feel them. You have to read whatever they said, but the words they say, their photographs don't really do it for me. I need to feel you so that I know we are on the same vibe. Or if I get time to sit down and talk to you for a while, like I did with you, Tonya, then I got to feel you because we had time to interact, and I could feel, oh, she's great. She's my kind of people.
But so like if how was it like for you in 2020? Because we weren't really. It's not like you can go out on 2020 and meet somebody or even meet up with anybody
Mm.
in the dating world. Then, how did you feel about that?
It was bad for business because most people were like, why bother working on myself when I can't even go out to meet anybody? Where am I going to practice? Where am I going to meet people? And even those that were trying to meet people, a lot of people were lonely. So they would reach out to women and girls and try to connect, but they were not serious either. You could tell that this person is just trying to find as many people to talk to as possible, not necessarily interested in you and what you have to say. And after a little while, you figure that out and you think, I can't be bothered, which is unfortunate because you know what I did? What I did personally was I took the time to really connect with my family. Like my family, meaning my brothers and sisters and our mom. We started having, family meetings every week with our kids, and everybody was alike to talk, even the toddler. And you can say whatever you want, even though we can't understand it. And just getting to be together because we are in what 5 different countries. So we would get together and we would talk and we would, just be together, and that's how we used the pandemic and the whole, lockdown thing. I think it has worked well.
That's great. And you said you spend the time connecting more to your family. That's how I did it too. I felt like I
Yeah.
needed to spend time with my family and kind of like fall in love with myself, believing more in myself.
Yeah.
Because you can be everybody's pillar, right? I can be everyone's pillar, but
Mm.
who's my pillar,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
That's why
And, and
I wanted to talk to you about that. So if you're everyone's pillar, who's your pillar?
and you need one or two.
Or
You
five. I
need,
mean,
yeah,
you take
yeah.
whatever you can.
Yeah, you need people who are there for you, who stand by you, who support you. That people that you can go back and lean on. Because if you don't have that, you won't be able to support other people. It's that whole idea of fill your cup first before you give yourself to other people.
Oh, we have a single guy in here. Oh, perfect. Nick, thank you for
Oh,
joining.
yes. Hi, Nick.
Hello. She gave me an invite, so I wanted to hop in.
Yeah, well, we have the love expert on, so I'm interviewing her. We're having a quick chat because we met and we started talking about online dating and apps, and I don't know. Then we spent like an hour and a half on Zoom, and we bonded. I'm like, let's just talk about this on Twitter Spaces. So, and then we have thank you for taking the co-host, Nelta. Did I pronounce your name right? I always like, I think last time I did that the same thing to you too. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? You got it right.
Got it right.
Thanks.
I think I got it right last. I was like, I hope I said it right. Thank you for being my co-host. Yeah, I actually invited Nick on because I wanted see there must be a bug because they literally changed my heading. Funny, you see that? It changed it.
Yeah,
But
I've been having that bug as well several times now.
oh my goodness. Okay, let me try to do it again. And we were talking about dating, online dating, and relationship. Communication and how people communicate with each other. But a lot of people don't. They assume. So Melody was telling me about some of her clients that she worked with. Because I don't know what it is with women. We have so much going on that because I think it's because we have three estrogen. I mean, we have three estrogen, and if those
Yes.
three estrogens aren't balanced, we're kind of unbalanced in ourselves.
Yeah.
So we're so busy, we assume the person that one. This is my analogy. That one estrogen tells the other estrogen to tell the other estrogen, but no one listened. So we just assumed that other person listened. Well, I tell that to my husband, and he actually believes me. So I'm sticking to that story because when he doesn't, he goes, I didn't get that memo. I said, my other estrogen told you about it. Don't forget. Mm.
Oh, you are killing me.
Probably right.
It's true. Poor Nick. I love you, Nick, for being part of this space because
No,
really, because Nick is single, so Nick, I want Nick to be part of this because I'm kind of curious what his point of view is when it comes to women. Because I think, and with women, we are always thinking our brain doesn't shut off, and
Yeah.
men is blessed because they can think one thing,
yeah.
yeah,
You are
Uh,
and
so
stay
well,
blessed.
that was,
focused.
no. That was an argument I had with my ex-wife all the time. Was she said that I had no morals or a sense of conscience because I was able to go to bed as soon as my head hit the pillow.
Oh,
I'm not a man and I can do that. So I don't know.
Ah,
I know I'm very good at shutting off my brain.
No, that's fine. I just, especially when I was working on the flight line, I was exhausted after physical labor all day. So I'd come home, I'd take a shower, and I was out. Like I was just out instantly. And yeah, I'd say that's one of millions of arguments that we had. That was one of the things.
so
and
I have.
that was her way of saying you should be like me. Like a lot of women want men to be like women, and then when they're not like women, they get upset as well, which is like so weird because a man is a man. He does his own man thing. It's fascinating to me to look at a person who's able to sleep anywhere, and because I would never feel that safe. I would never be able to just let go. Like it takes me half an hour to fall asleep. Because because I have to. I'm shutting down all my processes.
you wouldn't believe the places I'm capable of falling asleep, but that's military stuff. Is on the floor of a cargo plane in the back of with jet engines running and everything. I can sleep anywhere I need to, and it's just and I've said it before where somebody's like, "Well, don't you need to go to bed?" No, and I told them I'm like, "I'll fall asleep when I need to. I'm okay," and I'll stay up for 2 or 3 days at a time. Then all of a sudden, I will literally collapse where I stand like a goddamn sim in the video game where they just fall over and just sleep.
Well, see,
Okay,
God
so
bless you.
maybe my spirit is a man because I remember uh one time my one of my uncles passed away and we had gone to his funeral. Spent the whole I think it was probably the second night up and we were going to the shops with one of my cousins and I was literally asleep in one eye going to the shops and coming back the other one was closed. I was like, I got my sleep. Because it was quite a distance. And the interesting thing, for me, I can sleep anywhere as long as the noise starts before I go to sleep, which is fine. But obviously, as a woman, there are some places I can't sleep. It doesn't matter how quiet they are. It's like if I don't feel safe, I don't feel safe. So there's a I suppose I think there's a because I started doing meditation early on. If you can shut down your brain or ignore your thoughts, you can sleep anywhere.
So I want to also welcome my new friend Stu to the space. Hi Stu, and then also I want to Solar's here as a speaker. Yeah, we're talking about online dating and relationships. So I want to let everyone know, and we are recorded in this space. And because dating is not like the same anymore. Dating nowadays, you can download an app and meet different people. Um, just swipe, 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 and then there's. Has anyone ever looked at Facebook dating? It was kind of creepy, actually.
No.
I have met women from Reddit, not Facebook, but I'm brave like that.
Wow.
Wow, you are brave.
Wow.
Yeah, you are brave. Wow. Mm.
Because
It's borderline suicidal. Don't worry about it. I figure if I'm gonna go out, I might as well go out having fun.
but
I've
Yeah,
met.
maybe you've met nice people. I've met creepy people
Mm.
on Facebook.
And I know for women it's really difficult. And it's because I've used the apps before and the dating apps, and I'll date, and I never have. I don't know. I was in a long relationship, and I'm not going to go too much into detail, but it was pretty much abusive. and I was being gaslit and separated from my family and my friends for 10 years. But
Mm.
now that that's over, um, I can, if I go out on a date and it's a bad date and we just hang out, as long as we have good conversation, I'm like, I don't mind paying for this meal. We hung out, we had a decent time. That's cool. Sure, we're never going to see each other again, but that's an experience. I'd rather have an experience and go, well, that was all right, than go, oh shit, what would it have been like if, because that's going to drive me even more crazy. And then I've had dates where we end up being friends with benefits, or I've had dates where um, there's two girls that friends. I'll run into them in town. We'll go and have a meal together or coffee and just catch up. And we actually became friends, and nothing else came out of it. And for me, it's been very positive. But I'm a very optimistic person too. Uh, so I think that comes with it. It's the attitude. But I know that a lot of women have a lot more issues because of the way men can be. I've even gone on those before, and they said, "Oh wow, you look exactly like your pictures." And I'm like, "Yeah, why wouldn't I?" And I always hear, well, people use fake pictures all the time. I'm like, oh, I had no idea. Why would I use a fake picture? Because I'm going to show up at a date and you're going to be miserable the whole time, and I can't even have a good conversation out of it.
Did, hey, Josh, did you want to share?
Yeah. Oh no, I'm good. It's just I've never been on a dating site, and I'm like, oh wow, that's how it goes.
Well, I have the worst date I was on, and the girl just was not interested. And I said, look, you don't really seem like you want to be here tonight. Well, why are you even want to do this? And she's like, you know what? I just wanted a free meal. And I'm like, well, cool. Enjoy your dinner. I'll go ahead and pay the tab. I hope you have a great night. And it wasn't like $100 meal. It was like $5 for
Right.
the both of us. So it wasn't a big deal. And I was like, I just wish you the best. I said, just please don't do this to every man, because they're not going to look at it the way I do. I said, I'm
Mhm.
glad I met up with you, and I hope you have a fun night. Bye. And that was it. And that was the worst date I've been on. Usually I at least have a great conversation with a stranger and we hang out, and maybe we'll go to the bar and dance a little bit, and that's about it. And that's fine. I still have it.
Nice. Hell yeah.
I like meeting people anyway. Anyway you scratch it. So
Right.
I,
so
I,
the
I think nowadays, don't you think people are more tainted these days?
what's not the funniest thing, Tanya, and I don't mean to hog up your space, but the funniest thing that's ever happened was I took a girl out on a date. I cooked a meal, took her out on a picnic, and we sat in the park. And she was like, "What is this?" I go, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "Nobody ever takes me on dates. They all want to Netflix and chill." And I was like, "I've never been to this park. I thought it'd be cool to come here, and I had the day off, and you did too." So I was like, "Fuck it, let's go to the park." And I think it's really weird that, and it's because I'm an old Gen X fucker. I think it's really weird that men don't seem to know how to date anymore.
They don't.
Oh, don't
I would
get
have
me
no idea,
started.
bro. I would have no idea how to do it. Seriously. It's been almost 30 fucking years.
All you do is go out, sit down, talk. How hard is it?
Women are intimidating sometimes.
Oh,
I mean, I'm not scared to talk to a woman by all
Uh-huh.
means. I'm really good at talking, but sometimes they're intimidating.
In what way?
Um, I've been married twice, 10 years each time. I know what undeserving looks are and uncanny, you know. And I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be fun. I'll just turn around. Like you got certain looks. You get women give certain looks, and you're like, oh yeah, not cool. I bet you we do it too, though.
I understand. I know what you're saying. I've seen it happen. I've done it myself actually. Before I knew better. I don't do it now. Because I now know that you shouldn't treat other human beings like that. But when I was growing up, I knew I was very intimidating, and I did it on purpose because I just didn't want every guy to come talk to me, because it can be scary as well. Yeah,
Right.
so you are trying to because it's about safety now. You're trying to protect yourself as much as possible from every because girls are like flowers to boys sometimes. So they
Mhm.
every one of
Mhm.
them is coming towards you, and you're like, I'm not safe. I'm not safe. So what's the best way for me to push these people away? To be as intimidating as possible, to say the most cutting words as possible, so that they get scared and they go away. And
Mhm.
but now that I know that, when you are approaching when a man is approaching a woman, he's really being brave, and he's also feeling intimidated, even though you don't look it. But there's a part of you that's really being vulnerable, because you are trying to be to put yourself out there. You're trying to be serious. You are interested. Maybe you're really interested in the girl, and I'm kinder now, so I take that
You're
into
kinder
consideration.
now.
I am. I do take that into consideration now. So if I'm putting you down, if I'm saying no, I will say it in a way that is kinder than I would have just said, you know what, go away. Like I have said to people, who do you think you are to talk to me? And that's horrible. That's just like, oh my God. It's not right to treat other people
I
like
am
that.
like so opposite. I talk to everybody, even if they hit on me, and I'm actually like I don't. I make them feel like that they're hitting on their sister. That's what this guy told me. He goes, "You make me feel like I'm hitting on my sister." I was like,
Mm.
"Why?" And he goes, "Because you're not mean. You just sit and talk to me, and you're just like a guy." I'm like, "Okay, it's all good." But he goes, "But you're a girl, but you just make me feel bad if I'm trying to ask you out." And I said, "It's all good." I said, and but on another point, like if I really, when I was single, if I wanted to be with someone, I tell them, I like my man and I tell him, I said, "I need to be wine and dine. You need to pick me up, open the door. I'll buy you dinner. You buy me dinner. But I have to have that. You got to be the man, and I got to be the woman. I mean, it might sound old fashioned, but I mean, I've been on my own for so long that I know exactly what I want in life. And I think what it is now is a lot of women, they do know what they want, but they don't have someone like Melody to help them talk to them, to get them so balanced. Because I think a lot of times as women, we worry so much, and like I said, we have three estrogen, and then if you peak our testosterone a little bit, we're very sexual, but we're our estrogen tell us to like, okay, you got to calm down, girl. So the three estrogen actually is a great thing if it's balanced, but when it's not balanced, it makes a woman very uncomfortable with herself. So for me, I've always been very like, I don't know, I just never, I don't know. I was just always been friendly to everyone. And sometimes I've had people say, "Oh, you're just too friendly, Tanya." I'm like, the people I've met because I'm friendly. And not once I've ever felt like, oh, something bad's gonna happen. And maybe because I'm very gullible, or where I look at potential in everyone that says my friend. But most of the time, the guys that come up and hit on me, and I tell them straight up, I've been with the same guy, but I thank you, I appreciate you, and then we'll start talking, and I'll call my girlfriend. I'm like, oh my God, I met this guy. You have to go out with him. And so I'm like, why not? If they're a nice guy, they come from a nice family, or they're very ambitious, and they have, they're very upfront. They go, you can tell when you meet someone, if you click with them, you can tell. And if I
Yeah.
like them, I want them to date my girlfriends.
I like that. We've been saying, my sister and I have been saying that, if we wish our friends would introduce us to their single friends, because that would be so cool. Instead of just, you invite me to your house and I'm just alone, single people, invite them over there and maybe we'll meet, maybe we'll click, maybe we won't, but at least I might gain a friend. But people don't do that anymore. You have to wait for a wedding. And how many weddings are happening?
In
Yeah.
America, you have to wait for a funeral because a lot of people meet. I know people that meet each other in funerals.
Really?
It's really, yeah. I know. My one girlfriend, she loves going to funerals.
Okay.
She picks up dates that way actually. But I think what it is everyone is so afraid. I hook up everybody. I'm like, oh, you need to meet this person. You need to meet this person. I met this girl. You need to meet this girl. And I would tease them. I'm like, if you guys get married, I get money because in the Asian tradition, the fixer is the one that makes money, and everyone
Oh,
would laugh. Yeah, did you know that? In Asian and
no.
Jewish,
Nice.
yeah. If you fix up somebody and they got married,
Now
it's
I
I'll
kind
be
of
see.
like
rich right now. I'll be wealthy. I'll be so rich. I've met so many people who are still together right now. I should make that into a business then.
well, it was a business back in the old days. That's how a lot of them were doing. I mean, that's part of it. People arrange things, but nowadays, when people meet each other, before the online app. And then the only reason I know a little bit about the app is besides being in social media for so long, that I was, when I got into social media in 2006, I paid like $1,500 to go through like early 2007 to it's supposed to be a social media thing. It turns out to be all about dating apps. I had Bumble. I had like, I'm trying to remember the 23andMe. The lady was there talking about, people dating that should know if this could be a potential match. And I'm like, I'm thinking, well, people are not going to go get themselves DNA, they're not going to go get tested just to on the first date. And she goes, no, it's usually that she works a deal out with certain platforms. So I paid $1,500 to learn how single people can meet each other.
Mm,
Hi, Ariel, my friend
okay.
Ariel. See, I'm gonna invite him up to speak. Yeah, see, yeah,
Ariel.
there is a bug because it keeps changing my title. You see that?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we have 20 minutes, 25 minutes. So, but I find that the dating apps are so interesting because of the addiction of the mobile phone. So I
Mm.
feel a lot of people are you either have a vice, right? I'm like, my vice is Twitter, but I have some friends, man. They love their Tinder. I mean, is it Tinder, whatever they call it?
Tinder.
Yeah,
Tinder.
Tinder. It is
Mm.
it's huge down here. Everyone's all into it, and then because down here we have a big Jewish population, so J Date is a big one that they all love to sign up for. So and it's
Mm.
interesting with J Date is that app itself. There's more. The women are not Jewish. Most of the men are Jewish, but the women aren't Jewish. Seems that way. But yeah, it's really weird. I was like, my girlfriends were on it too. They were telling me. But today, when it comes to dating, I think if you become friends with somebody, you hang out, you spend friends, you know each other, you know the good, the bad, the ugly, and you accept each other, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Stu, for popping in. I appreciate you. So then, it makes a big difference in a friendship and a relationship because I feel like when you go out and you just assume and you want people to be this way or that way, it just doesn't work out that way. I think it's just if people just what's the word? Stop worrying about everything else, but think about the conversation that you will have.
Yes, and just be yourself because that person is going to like you, not the person you're pretending to be. They're going to appreciate you, not the person you're trying to look like. So it's very important to be yourself. Even on Tinder, it's important to be yourself. I think when you try to look a certain way that you're not, and then it will all fizzle out in a very short space of time because you can't sustain to be someone that you're not. It's just not going to work.
So that brings me back to the subject I was going to talk about was entitle or enlighten. So like
Mm.
a lot of women, we build walls, right? Men too. Do we feel entitled or do we feel in line because we've had so many bad relationships that we feel in line, or we feel like we're too good for that person? I mean, as I've seen some girlfriends of mine that they think that they're better than thou, and they felt entitled, and they always have such bad relationship because they felt that they should be worshipped. I feel all women should be worshipped, but I think that you should always look at it as a 50-50 where you can have empathy for your partner and share. So I'm going to start with you, Melody. So what are your thoughts on that as a love expert, as far as doing hi, man. Let me invite my friend up and see.
I think I think you're right. I think a lot of us tend to be entitled. That he's my husband. He should do A, B, C, D. He should know what I'm thinking. He should know what I want. He should know. Like I did that too when I first got married. I took it for granted that because I was thinking it in my head. He had a telescope to look into my brain, or whatever scope to look into my brain and read everything. And now that's the question I ask a lot of my clients, right? That when you say he should know what you need, do you know what I'm thinking right now? Like, can you tell, even with your best friend, your girlfriend, can you tell what she's thinking when she's sitting over there? You can't. So why would you expect some guy to figure out what you're thinking without telling them? Tell them. But I think most of us are so afraid of telling because we don't think we are worthy of the love and the whatever I think we need. We think, if I say that I need this and they don't give me, then I'll have to do something about it. And my experience has been whenever I've asked, I've gotten what I wanted. Sometimes even better than what I was expecting.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I actually went through that stage early 20 years ago, early in my relationships too. So I don't know, maybe it could be part of the beginning stage of it and how, you know, we date and how we meet different people. But when you know, I used to have this whole entitlement of I felt entitled that my man should be about me. Like, if we go out and we invite a whole bunch of people, he should be right next to me. He shouldn't go anywhere.
He
He
didn't
shouldn't even
talk
look
to
at anybody.
anybody.
I'm entitled to this, okay?
Oh, I think it's the TV that's kind of reflected that, like expectations of how relationship work when you're in public and that sort of thing. That, yeah, you just have eyes for each other and your life stop being involving other people. And yeah, and I also think the fact that most cultures, like speaking from mine, there used to be people who teach you what to expect in a relationship, how to function in it, even how to keep having sex after you have children. And all those things are gone because of modernization, colonization, and movement of people. So
But
Yeah.
go ahead, Solar.
Okay. Hi, ladies. I may invite you for an adventure to get to know each other, but it's real. So if you get to know something, make an adventure. Go, for example, hiking in the Alps, 2,000 meters high with a tent, and then you have a beautiful view. The tent is made. The man has to have a bottle of wine that's quite heavy. You're drinking some wine and you're in a good mood and you try to sleep together in the tent. So, what happens? It's dark, the moon is shining. After 30 minutes, the woman beside you is say, there's a noise outside. You want not to look to it? Okay. What are you thinking? You had a half a bottle of red wine. You think, why should I be eaten up by the wolf? Better I stay in the tent so you don't move. So it's a moment where you get to know each other by adventure. That's what I'm meaning. And men and women are contradictory, but somehow they fit together. So it's something we have to learn new rules. Relationships may be temporary because of interest that can also be a commercial interest in a common project. But I think, like Tinder, I'm not on Tinder, but I give it no future because you swipe to the left and to the right. And we are not like this. We have all values and we have to get to know each other. And that's the question, how can we get to know each other by a common adventure? And that's a question to Tonya.
Well, the thing is, when how do we find it to get to know each other? Is I feel is just no distraction. Just go and sit, like you said, go up in the mountain, have a nice bottle of wine, sit and talk. But that's a perfect world. And so when in my early days, I always like believe in chaperones. I brought my friends with me.
Oh, wow.
So, the first couple of days I bring my friends. Hi, go ahead. CM, go ahead.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna wait just a second because right before you called on me, I had another thing real quick. Sorry, I'm here listening.
No
You said
worries.
no distractions, and here we are. But
Now,
it's
don't
just a
give me.
bit. Sorry.
I
So
was going to
hang on.
say,
No
Chris,
excuses.
talk to
You
you
have to
soon.
answer.
No, solar. I like your answer. The thing is, all right. So I grew up in a trailer park, and now I
Great.
live in the mountains, and it's not exactly like I can afford a plane ticket to go over to the Alps, take a girl up in the Alps with a big old bottle of wine. It just ain't happening. Now maybe I can set up a picnic and go get a nice box of box wine, or even a local one, and we can do the best. I can cook, for instance. So I'll cook something up, and we can
A
go
big
for a hike around
advantage.
there. I'm just saying
Big
that
advantage.
I like what you're presenting. It's just not available to everybody. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, but you make an effort. You know cooking. If you live in France, a man has to learn to cook. If he cannot cook, he is not considered as a high spirit value. This is cooking is something mystical, it's something practical, but it is a pleasure too. And if you know this, I think that's a great advantage. Congrats.
Well, no, I only cook because all my time is used up for cybersecurity, IT, computer stuff. And I found that when I was taking a break from it, it was playing video games and it didn't really give me any way to relax. So then I took up cooking where I could completely disconnect from all things electronic and just cook. And it started for me barbecue. Like I grew up in the South, so everything consists of cooking outside, and it's amazing on a campfire and everything. And then I went from there. But yeah, but I'm just saying that yeah, it would be great to take a girl up into the mountains and go camping, but it's just not available for everyone. And I know Chris, you had something.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, like, y'all are talking about, ways that, people can kind of get to know each other in our modern age, and maybe ways to disconnect a little bit from the electronic world and, be more present. Um, one thing that I've advised friends of mine to do, and I really try to do, but I don't have as much time as I would like. Um, but I found that it works. Is there's an app, there's a website called Meetup, and it's like for different groups. It's not a dating website in particular, but you can search for local groups in your area based on topics of interest, or like Nick's talking about cooking, or I joined one when I was in Colorado Springs, and I went to it was like a vegan cooking class type thing. And my girlfriend at the time, she had a ton of food allergies, like just a whole ton. And they actually, most of them developed, I mean, probably about a year and a half into the relationship. So it kind of threw everything, kind of on its head, because, here we are, we don't know exactly what is wrong with her. Um, but she's having all these anaphylactic reactions. And so we found out after about 4 months waiting on an allergist appointment that she was allergic to eggs as well, and shellfish, which she didn't have before. And so it was pretty severe. So it's cool to find these little local groups, because you don't have to, if you're looking to meet somebody, um, joining a group or volunteer work or something where it's not, you're not presenting yourself necessarily as, oh, I'm on the market, oh, I'm looking to meet a partner, oh, I'm looking for this, like you would on something like Tinder or a dating app. And plus you get to, just relax with people. You get to kind of, see them for who they are, not necessarily a preconceived notion or this, an underlying expectation. And I'm not sure if I heard correctly, but I believe it was Melody that was talking about having, um, not really having any expectations, when you're with a partner, because, in my opinion, it leaves you open for, open to be pleasantly surprised, and less likely that you become disappointed or disillusioned when that person fails to meet the image that you have of them in your own head. So that's all I got for now. Thank you. But great speakers and great conversation. I enjoy it.
So I just shared into the nest some data for you, everyone, to understand where, because this is the other stuff that I always look at the data and what the people are doing. And full disclaimer, my husband's father is actually had the patent for online dating. That's how he made his money. So he and I always talk about this when he was alive, and how
He's
he
head of what? I'm sorry, Tanya.
online dating. He had
Head of online
no
dating.
no he had the patent
Oh, the patent
in the
for online
70s, like the 70s or 80s, something like that. That's how because he came from
Holy
nothing.
hell.
Yeah, he came from
Ooh.
nothing, and he at 14, he grew up in was it the Bronx, really poor Jewish, and he went and got a job as a ticker person. He ran around with that back in the stock exchange, New York Stock Exchange. They have this strip of where all the stocks are, and he would the one run around and I guess go from broker to broker when he was 14. That's how he started. But then he got into the banking, and then he traveled, and then he wanted to meet women, but he couldn't meet women the way he wanted. Back then it wasn't like as easy as it is now today. So he actually had to uh apparently there's like underground, like almost the size of stadium, but that like buildings that belong to the government. He rented those, and that's why he stored a lot of his data. He put an ad out, and all these people would send him stories of how they met and different things. So he wrote a whole patent about it. That's how he got his money, actually. So I always tell people, like, if you met your man online, if it wasn't for my father-in-law. And so we talk about this. So apparently online dating, according to this, you guys click it, it's saying that there's 60% women and 40% men are using the dating app.
Yeah, and I also want to add that I've joined a lot of things, a lot of groups and everything. Men are not there. They don't come to those things. Usually, majority, like 90% of the people will be men and women, and then there will be two men or three men who came with their wives. So,
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
so
that's
it's
usually how it
getting.
is, and that's why I'd like to be more of a be the change I want to see in the world, right? And
Mhm.
I think that and the other thing with the apps, I mean, see, where I'm at right now, I have an amazing career, I have an amazing job, I have an amazing place that I live with great people in a wonderful, very small rural community that's very close knit. And I don't really have a need for much of anything other than I'm at this point where I'm hoping to find, somebody else to share in this magic and beauty that is all around me. And whether that be a girlfriend, or dating someone, or even if it's just a friend. I get on, I'm on these apps, and sometimes these gals will tell me, they'll say, well, they'll ask me, well, what are you looking for on here? And I'm like, the fact of the matter is, I really am not. I'm not the type that just sleeps around. I'm not the type just out here looking for a hookup. I'm never going to send somebody an unsolicited picture of any part of my body. And really, I just want to, if I'm going to get with somebody in that sense, I want to get to know you first. I want to be your friend, and let's like build upon that so that there's a more stable foundation. Because I can't tell you the amount of times that I've met somebody, rushed and jumped into a relationship, and then because of the like intricacies and the messiness of like intermingling two lives together, it can be messy. And if there's, I've had plenty of baggage and unresolved traumas that I had to kind of work through over the years, that at times kind of reared its ugly head and made me a jerk, made me an idiot. And if I had that opportunity to be able to just be self-aware enough and to be assertive enough in a respectful way to say, you know what, this isn't working and it's my fault. Or if it's the other person's fault, say, this isn't working, but hey, let's switch gears. Let's just switch gears a little bit, and realize that we don't have to just cut each other out of each other's lives just because we don't get along in a relationship or a dating or a romantic kind of way. We can still grow together as friends, and I can support you and be there for you as a friend no matter what. I'm not that type of person, and I wish, I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I wish more men were like that.
Me too. I really, I think you're very evolved. Really evolved, because
Thank
you
you,
said
thank you
something I
kindly,
need
ma'am.
to comment on. You said I don't send pictures of parts of anatomy of my body. That's the biggest complaint a lot of women have about online anything. Because the moment you start talking to people, they just think, because the image men have about their anatomy is not the same image we have about you. We don't particularly care about your anatomy. We like to hear you speak to us, how you present yourself, your confidence, your
Right,
language, right?
right. I
Yeah.
mean, it's, yeah, and it's, to me, it's like, it's not rocket science. And I have friends that, I actually I had an idea. I wanted to make one of those coffee table books, like the big, coffee table books with the pictures or whatever, different photography. But it's like a, screenshots of all of these the messages, just the off the wall messages that these guys are sending girls on these dating apps, like the horror
Yeah.
story messages. And I just like some of them are pretty bad. And I think on one hand, to make light of it, is kind of a disservice in the simple fact that there should be, I believe, some kind of watchdog coalition or some kind of group, something to educate young men on how to be um, respectful and not this kind of like, for lack of better terms, and I'm sorry if this is a triggering word to use here with the listeners or whoever, but for lack of better terms, it's rapey. Like
Mhm.
to expose yourself and to somebody that didn't ask to see you. They didn't ask to see that. And here you are just thinking because you're hot, hot to trot or whatever, that, you've got some girl's attention, some woman's attention, or man's, whoever, depending on your preference. And you're just going to up and send them a picture of your, what?
Yeah, I think.
Hey, I want to first I want to say hi to Michael and Jason and Raj, and also to Dice. Welcome to the space. This is a fun space. We're talking about online dating, and as far as online dating, are you entitled or enlightened? Enlightened meaning, you have experienced so much that you are enlightened. You have empathy for the person that you want to meet and go out with, or do you feel entitled because you think you're too good for that person? You're too pretty. There's actually people who believe that they want to go date someone that are not better looking than they are because they feel that person's not going to do right for them because they're too good looking. So it just cracks me up about that because at the end of the day, I think if we just kind of like get to know each other and become friends, that's the key. My man and I've been together for over 20 years. We met each other 3 years prior to that.
Dang,
Yeah, we've
congratulations.
been together for over 20 years. All three of my ex-husband could not put together what my one husband now. The years I've been together with him. So I've always like, I went out on a date with you. Let's get married. I mean, I'm like, the moment they move in with me, they gotta marry me because just that I was raised to believe that way. So it just now is like I'm in my 50s and I'm like, I'm in a different person and my man and I mean, we went through our ups and downs and we actually broke up for like 90 days one summer and I actually went on a date that was like, oh my God, the guy was so busy watching his baseball game. I don't even know why he and I went on a date. But I at the point in my life, I paid for my own meal. I bought him his drink and I left because he goes, well, I'm betting right now. I'm like, what the hell are you going out with me for then? So and then I realized, I felt
He's hoping you're good luck.
no, it was you know what it did? It made me appreciate what I had more because I was entitled.
There you
I
go.
felt
Right.
entitled because I thought I was, I'm I used to be very self-centered and to a point that because of what I did for a living and who I was surrounding myself with, and so I just always felt that I was, the God's gift because I was traveling all over the world, hanging out with beautiful models, and I was their makeup artist. So everyone should be treating me like the person I am today, right? No, it's not like that. I've become very humbled over time. And my man and I, one day, I looked at him, and when we got back together, one day I looked at him and said, I have one journey in life. I either have a good time or I leave this journey with you. So you and I, we either talk it out and stay up all night and get along with each other and don't get offended. And it's the two of us against the world, not me and you against each other. And I've seen where relationships, when people meet each other, where they're so competitive that they would just destroy each other than help each other, right? I've seen that like all the time. So the moment I told my husband that, I said, we if you want to stay with me and you want to have a fun time and you want to have a happy time, we I have one journey. I want one person. And if you don't want to
Mhm.
be that person, get off. Get out of the car. And he's like, but it's my car. I'm driving. I'm like, well, you can give me your car. So, but Michael, go ahead.
I actually raised the wrong hand. I apologize. I don't have anything to say yet. But continues, Tanya.
But because Michael's single now, so I'm kind of curious, like, as far as what his thoughts are too.
Oh, Michael.
And
Michael back in the saddle again.
and Jason.
Well, I have to be honest. I do not miss the marriage institution at all. And that's actually what it is. It's called the marriage institution because supposed to be in love with each other, et cetera, et cetera. But for me, for dating, I don't know. It's not like I have a big urge to go out and do it. It's not that I couldn't. I just don't have a desire right now. I have other issues going on that prioritize things. Dating, online dating, sometimes kind of. I've never been into that ever. My children, when they grew up, they're married now, but when they grew up, some of them looked at it, tried it, and didn't like it. The only thing that I've always cautioned people that use that is be very cautious because people can tell you anything they want because they don't know you,
Oh yeah.
right? They don't know you, and so you want to meet in a public place. This to me is all common sense that we all have, but yet it has to be spoken because sadly to say, with some of these things dealing in the law enforcement part of things, a lot of people get raped, beat up, and robbed, and a lot of people don't. A lot of people are very happy. Some people have even gotten married, so it's like a mixed bag. I don't want to take that kind of gamble. I figure that when I'm ready, I will meet the right person on my terms and we'll go from there. A relationship is a two-way street. It's not a one-way street. A relationship means a give and take on both ends. Both parties have to be willing to compromise or you're going to be in a stalemate, and that's no good because that makes your marriage go down. You have to know how to rekindle a romance, and you have to know how to love your wife like you were loving yourself. And I don't mean that in a twisted way at all. Um, you know, you have to be faithful, you have to be responsible, and you have to be willing to provide for her if she's the one that you want to really date. Um, and you have to be loyal. And I think a lot of people in relationships don't even know what the word loyal actually means anymore. It's like, okay, I cheated on this one, but I can always go back with that one. Why are you being a player with all the different diseases that are out there? You know, like herpes and all the venereal diseases that you could get as well. You know, um, that's my view on it. I was asked. That's my view on it.
So I'm gonna give the mic to Chris in 2 seconds, but I'm gonna tell you guys one little short story. My adopted grandparents, they both were married to different partners, and they met each other. They were see, he was 65, 66. She was probably 60. He had just retired. His wife had passed away from breast cancer. She was in a really bad marriage, and she never thought she was going to meet anyone. She went on a cruise that she would never go. She met him, met my grandfather, the two of them, and by the time they got off the cruise a week later, they decided to go get married. They just met each other. They got married within a week, and the family hated it, and they stayed married for 30 years. I mean, he died at almost 90 years old, so. Like, and he died first, and then she died second. My mom took care of them, so I just kind of like I said, I always believe there's always love, no matter how old you are. You never know. Go ahead, Chris.
One thing that I've noticed, and I think Michael made a good point, that first of all, like harm reduction or safety and security awareness in the dating app or dating world um, is essential. And Nick probably can give some insight into this as well, maybe. But in terms like the way my mind works, you can get a lot of information from someone with just a few key bits of data. If you have their email address or something of that nature, you can probably find a great deal of information about that person, and it's not too difficult to kind of subtly get that information from someone from these apps, and someone could exploit that to a very, very negative, very bad kind of way. So yeah, it's be careful about what information you're putting out there, and absolutely um, discern what people are telling you, and maybe get to know that person, maybe ask some questions or whatever you feel comfortable with, but trust no one, but yourself, and even the heart. Some people always say, nowadays, and they get this romanticized kind of um, idea in their head that, oh well, we just follow our heart and we just do this and just trust our heart. And I'm not trying to get preachy, and this has nothing to do with any kind of religious aspect, but there's a line in the Old Testament, that I just love it just because it's very beautiful and poignant. But in the book of Jeremiah, it says that the heart is deceitful above all else and desperately wicked. So I've always kind of adopted that to myself, because I mean, we can't just always, there's been a lot of times where I gave somebody the benefit of the doubt over and over and over and over and over again, and probably still would, but it's only been to my detriment. And it's also, there's been times where I've probably been an enabler to people that because I just wanted to be, let them be free and be their own person and just be loving and this and that, without kind of giving them uh, a respectful but very kind of, I don't know, directed um, little nugget of truth, I guess, or kind of help them be a mirror for them, instead of, holding them to a false idea, or allowing them to kind of perpetuate a role or perpetuate an image of themselves, instead of just helping them kind of see, um, see those blind spots in a loving and friendly way.
So I'll go with Nick. I think Nick was, and then Solar. Go ahead, Nick.
It's only because I'm adding on to what Chris was saying. I may or may not have run an OSINT op on anybody that I was going to go have a date with, which is open source intelligence gathering. I've done it before, not because I'm trying to get one over on anybody or be manipulative, because there are people that.
No, it's about awareness.
And I have done it before because about a third of the people on Twitter are the females that DM me, and the same thing with the Tinder app. They're fake, and they're trying to sell like an account where they're trying to sell, look, buy my nudes for this or whatever. And I can easily do reverse image searches on them, and then I get accounts. And a lot of times people use the same account names across multiple platforms. So somebody will use the same, they'll use the same name on Snapchat as they'll use as their email address. And so that's easy to find. And then I find accounts on other things. And then if you have a phone number, if I have a phone number and a name, I'm able to basically pull up your full name, and then I can get a criminal record background search done on you.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I'm just saying, be careful what you put out there. I never mean it in a bad way, but I'm suspicious most of the time when I meet people, especially after giving that talk at the conference, because I've had people try to elicit information out of me that's classified, and it's really annoying. But I'm, speaking from more of a cybersecurity standpoint, you do have to be careful, because your identity is worth something. And, that's just something else you need to look out for whenever people are doing stuff. I will never do anything bad with my skill set, but I've always used it to protect myself, because sometimes I don't know what I'm going into.
Nick, can I ask a question? When you say be careful what information you give, what exactly? Can you elaborate a bit on that?
Sure. There's actually several ways to do things. One way of which I can give you for instance, in my situation, I have an email account that I use for personal stuff, and then I have an email account that I use for public. So, like anybody in this room, y'all can look up boxswappers at Gmail, and you can send me emails all day long, but none of my accounts are really associated with it. I have associated with a different account. And so it's a little bit more harder to find my identity across multiple platforms, except for the ones that I want to tie together. And that's what I mean is I can find your email address, and then with a few searches, I can find other accounts that you're in, especially with a lot of the dumps that have happened over the last few years. I can find somebody that was actually a registered user of Ashley Madison, because somebody hacked them and released all the email addresses.
Oh my God. I had a blast doing that show when it first got hacked.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's just a whole lot of information out there based off your email address. And one way to protect against that is to, imagine yourself with multiple identities doing different types of things. Like for me, the box swappers is an image that I use for my hacking cybersecurity stuff. So I tie all that together. I've got another email address that I use for my personal banking accounts. And then I have another email address that I use for shopping. And that way, if I lose one of those, if one of those gets popped, I don't lose an entire domain. Like I don't lose everything, and that's one way to protect yourself. If you're using the dating app all the time, maybe your login would be something set up with your social accounts instead, because you want those associated with Instagram or whatever, because it's the same thing. That's fine, but you don't want to put the same email as your banking account email, because now I've got if you're using single factor authentication, I've already got one half of your password, which is your username.
Wow, thank you. Solar, you have your hands up? Solar Life, how are you? Oh, there we
Okay,
go.
you hear me now?
Oh,
This
yes,
is
I can hear
Yes,
you now.
okay. So sorry, I would go with Nick on a dating as my social security manager. That would be interesting. What I want to say, the reality is, a man who is too romantic is not considered as real. Yeah, most women go with the bad guy. Then finally, so you have to find a mix that you're going for adventure, and you have to have a real idea how to going for a common adventure. And in COVID times, I think nobody addresses this. People have fear of each other to infect each other. Say, what happens if I was a new person and I would infect this person with COVID? Well, am I responsible? And so on. This is not addressed today, but I address it. That's the main fear. Uh, Knowing each other, getting in contact each other, is it dangerous? So the other thing is, has anyone here a positive experience with online dating? I think it's like a game. Some people play games, they're wrong profiles. That makes no sense for me. What about real?
I do, but I'm going to put my hand up.
Yeah. What about real dating? I live in a tourist area. I have no problems. I just come back from an open air restaurant. I meet a lot of people. I wouldn't know why I use online dating. That would be for me absolutely nonsense. So
Well, I'm a big awkward nerd, so I have a hard time approaching people. I get social anxiety a little bit. So when it comes to like meeting somebody in the field, meeting somebody out there in real life, out off the computer, um, chances are I'm not going to go talk to them unless maybe if I'm with a group of friends or something, and they're a friend of a friend, and we all kind of are having a conversation. Then maybe. But other than that, it's helped me in the past just because it allows me to kind of um, get to know a person a little bit and at a distance, and then meet up. And there's been some hits and misses. There's been some good experiences and some bad experiences, but that's all life and that's part of the adventure, I guess.
yeah.
And hi there,
Let me
Cat
ask.
Judge. But Cat Judge, before
Hello.
I let you speak, let me go ahead and let our guest, Melody, share her thoughts, and then Michael, and then Chris, and then Cat Judge.
Well, and then Cat. Oh, I can wait.
Yeah. So, I- I think sometimes people, we take these dating things too seriously, because we put all our hopes in meeting this person and they are going to be the love of my life, instead of just looking at it like, you know what, I'm making an adventure, I'm meeting people. Maybe it will turn out the way I want, or maybe it won't, and that's okay. When you approach somebody and you already have this heavy expectation from them, and nothing comes is good comes out of that. I think that's what I have issues with online dating, because the moment I get in there and I say I'm looking for a man, I'm looking for a man, obviously my fears start to come up, and so many other stuff that all my triggers are literally on, even when I'm signing up. And by the time anyone who's going to try to talk to me, I already have this expectation they have to fulfill all my romantic dreams. Instead of just saying, you know what, this is an opportunity to meet people. Maybe I will meet someone I like, or maybe I won't. I'm open to meeting men, amazing men. I know there are a lot of amazing men out there, and that's all I want. I don't want this whole. I think that's the problem I am having with online dating. That there's too much expectation and entitlement, and that entitlement that this person that I'm talking to now has got to either be my boyfriend or the love of my life or not. When you can just say they're a human being, they're worth knowing, and maybe maybe if you start to see things are going that way, then you explore it without putting too much pressure on each other.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, I was just going to say, to me, common sense goes a long way, and we all have common sense. It's just that sometimes we get overwhelmed with our emotions, and we allow our emotions to outweigh our common sense, and we go ahead and date the person, and then we find out we should have gone with our gut and just not done anything. The other thing with online dating is I know some people who they believe they're dating, but they live in different states. I mean, all the power to you. You're certainly not going to get hurt that way. You're certainly not going to kiss her that way, are you? I mean, I don't get that. That to me is the most stupidest thing I've ever heard of when it comes to online. However, I know of relationships that, they started physically here, and then one had, because of a job, had to move away, and the other one still stayed, and they're working things out. That's a little different. I'm talking strictly about the online dating things. The other thing is you got to be careful that it could be a man they could put up an avatar of a woman, and you could think that you're trying to date a man, and he could have a know how to imitate a female voice. I mean, there's all sorts of weirdos out there too that you got
Well,
to be
I mean, the
careful
apps
of.
have a the developers, they really put these apps, they double and triple check people. They don't like,
Doesn't
you
matter.
can't
It
just.
doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. I've seen people get murdered. They went on a date. I went with the police department. They went on a date, and she got killed. So it doesn't matter how much security that they put on. You don't really know the individual till you face to face. I can tell you anything. I can lie to your face over this computer right now, make you think I'm the greatest stud in the world, meet you and kill you, which I would never do.
Yeah, but why would you like meet people okay, go
But
Nick, go ahead.
well, I wasn't done. But if you want me to
Sorry about
yield,
that, Mike. No, go ahead. Continue, Michael.
okay. So all I'm saying is that COVID-19 affected everybody, and those that don't think so are in denial. And it's people who are single or separated from their spouse, if they don't want to get back, it's a great thing. People want to use it as a tool because maybe I can meet a spouse, a man or a woman, depending upon what sex you are, and we can date because you want to get out of the house. And I can understand that. But to me, there's nothing better than meeting somebody for the first time without online dating, whether it's shopping, restaurant, however you bump into people. I mean, things happen. But there are those who are diehard um, dating on applications for or on the website, and that's fine. To each their own. I'm not here to judge you, tell you what you can and can't do. Who am I? I'm nothing. I'm just speaking for my own opinion and my own thoughts. I agree with everything that's been said so far in the room, pretty much. And you have values. You're valuable. So remember, you're worth much more than any man or any woman in the sense you want to be alive and have a good relationship. When you start setting expectations on a dating site, you're going to be disappointed 98% of the time. I yield, Tanya.
You know what it was? I understand what you're saying, but I don't know. I know a lot of people that met the love of their life online. So I mean, it's just
I'm
so.
not saying not to go on there. I know people that have done the same thing too. But I want to point out that there is a huge risk factor, like Nick was saying. Okay. Whatever information you put out there is a digital footprint for anybody to hack.
Yep.
That's true.
Well, and okay, so I agree with I wish I could pronounce your name properly. Nelta. Did I say it right, Nelta? Because I've gone on dates where
Yes,
I
you
don't
did.
have, yeah, I don't have any expectations, and I've had some great times. Like I said before, I've made some friends. I have some female friends that we hang out every now and then. There's no attraction there, except that we're friends. We say, hey, how you doing? How's your life? And we'll go hang out and go do something together, like have coffee after work and just and we have a great time. I've had some dates that do that. I've had some dates that went into a romantic thing and destroyed me.
And
And I've
no
had,
expectations.
yeah, and those are the best ones that I've had because I don't have any expectations. I try to
Right.
show up.
Yes.
I try to be as genuine as I can be. One thing that a lot of women have said they find attractive in me is that I'm very confident, and I'm like, it's because I just don't have any effort in me to bullshit anymore. I'm basically ran out of fucks to give. That's literally what's happened to me in my life. But and Michael's right, but there's ways to keep that from happening. I always meet the first time I meet somebody, it's always somewhere public. I always meet up with them public, and I have met up with a woman before that turned out to be a man, and I was like, all right, well, I hate to tell you this, but I don't butter that side of my toast, but I'll tell you what, I'll buy you a beer and we'll hang out for a little bit. And I just, that's me though. I know that's not the same for everybody else, but that's me. I'm just not gay, but I don't have anything wrong, nothing against it. My son's gay, for fuck's sake. I don't care. I just, I'm like literally like, well, we can be drinking buddies, but understand, we may go fishing trip once or twice, but that's about it. But anyways, I'm going a little off course. There is a risk involved. There's ways to prevent stuff from happening to you. You just assess the risk and you apply a threat model to it like you would with anything else. I always meet first time I meet somebody, it's always in public. I never meet them in private at their house or anything like that. And if it goes well, we meet up again later and maybe somewhere else private. And I try not to do that to anybody else. If I'm going to cook a meal, because this did happen, this girl that actually became a friend of mine, she's a climber. I'm not really into rock climbing and stuff, but she came over and I cooked a meal and we just hung out and watched TV. Had a great time.
Cool.
But we met in public first. We met at the coffee shop, had a coffee, and then we had that date. Yeah, you just have to treat it with that way. And going on a date with the expectations or any expectations, preconceived ideas, you are completely ruining your own night. You could go there, have fun, hang out with somebody, meet a new person. And when you go in there with a preconceived idea, you're completely ruining your own night and you're doing it to yourself.
So we have about 10 minutes left because I want to be mindful of the time. We have I think we have 72 people listening right now.
Well, Tanya, Cat Judge to say
Yes.
something. I know the co-hosts there have their hands up, but
yeah, I know they're gonna. I'm gonna let them speak next. So I just want to. So go ahead, Melody.
No, I just wanted to talk about your gut. We don't talk about your gut a lot, but your gut tells you when you're safe and when you're not safe. And when you go against, like in my own life, whenever I go against my gut and I try to justify it with my mind, that's when things really, really go wrong for me. So these days I trust my gut. If I don't feel safe with a person, whether they're a woman or even if there's a potential friend, if I feel unsafe, I just say, okay, this person is nice, but they're not for me. They're not for my life. And I won't wait to find out whether how awful they can be. I used to try and justify and try to think, okay, but they haven't really done anything wrong. I don't do that anymore because I know better. So I don't, but most of us tend to want to wait and see, and we try to use logic where your senses are concerned, and that's when we get into trouble. I just wanted to say that because sometimes we tend to dismiss our gut and we dismiss our senses, and we just say, as long as my head is telling me everything is okay, it means everything is okay. You need to use both your head and your gut at the same time.
No, Natal.
Okay, so what I wanted to say was, I suppose the thing with online is I tried it once and I didn't have a good experience, but I didn't have time to look if there was anything else that was going to come out of it. Um, but the thing is, online you're meeting people faster than you would physically, so chances of bumping into a lot of uh, unworkable relationships are more frequent than, say, if you were going to physically meet people, because that takes a bit of time to build. But at the same time, you meet a lot of people that you go and you have cups of coffee with that fizzle out and turn into nothing. So I think when you're approaching online dating, you kind of have to do it that way. The problem comes up when people start saying, I like your face, or I like how you look, and then they start building something on the photograph, on the image. And unfortunately, because a lot of us women, we are seduced by words, we start building these relationships before we meet the person. And I think that's where it can get very dangerous very quickly for most people, that we fall for the words and the image we have in our heads. So it's very good to just meet a person somewhere public, like everyone has been saying. But I would suggest meet them public for a good while until you're sure it's safe enough to take them somewhere private. Or unless you know maybe you have a black belt in something and you can defend yourself if it happens you're in danger. But I would say keep it in a public place because even if you had met them through a friend, you wouldn't immediately just take them home. So check the same cautions you would apply to a person you met in a public place for a person you met online. Maybe more so than you would then because they are coming with a lot of information you need to verify.
I actually did a talk. We did a show once about dating, and the first, do you become friends with a guy you date on Facebook? You know, that was like, apparently it's a huge thing for women that they do not allow that. They don't want, you know, if they're dating someone new, they do not want to like bring him onto their social network to be friends. So we're gonna have to do a space about that because I'm kind of curious how, like, what do people, if you're new dating and you go out on a date, do you instant like, hey, what's your Facebook page? Let's be friends. Do you do that? I mean, hi Denise.
I don't, I don't, I don't instantly do that. And the reason I don't do that is because I need to figure out if I even want them to keep talking to me. I can be friends with them without necessarily swapping our online handles. Keep
We're
it,
not swapping
yeah,
anything else. We might as well swap it.
yeah, that's it. Just keep it
Whoa.
there. And yeah, if they're on Instagram, fine. I can check them out, but I'm not going to follow them or request their friend or anything. No, because that's just a hell lot of problems for the future.
Hi Denise, how are you?
Hi, how are you guys doing today?
We're doing great. We're having a really serious conversation about dating,
Oh,
online dating and online dating apps and our thoughts about that. And so I was just, we've gone, like, we started at 5 p.m., but I just thought it was interesting. So I know you're with someone, but have you ever tried an online dating app before? Denise?
oh, sorry. I think I just ended up I muted myself on accident. Right
Have
on
you?
time here. I have to tell you, I am not dating anyone because of dating apps. So, yeah, I have a lot of info on these apps here. Not by initially not by me wanting to search it, but yeah, it's a whole different ball game out there. So, I'm very active on it now. And yes, I have a little system I'm working on. I'm probably been dating, like actually trying to date on it for about 2 weeks now, even that much. But I do have a little system I like to try to stay focused on, and I don't want to give my number out even. And I even kind of push to communicate because most people want to go directly into texting into communication. I don't like to give my number out, so I choose like an app that doesn't show a phone number, and you can just even
That's
video
another
chat.
subject matter too. That's another subject we should do one of these days. Do you think is texting is if you text or sexting someone, does that count as dating?
I
No.
have to say nowadays, I no, did he say no? Was that a man? Of course, yes. No, I'm joking here, but nowadays,
No.
I do think that's kind of, to me, I think that's part of dating. I mean, that's part of getting to know someone. I mean, I hope somebody just doesn't go, hey, let's switch, let's text and give me some pictures. I know my ex did that with whomever he was trying to chase after on a dating app. But for myself, I think getting to know someone little by little via text, then maybe messaging, maybe video conferencing. That's part of dating nowadays. I'm not all into, I'm still like old school. I want somebody to come pick me up at my door, take me out to eat, but that's not how the world works now.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So what do you think? How does it work nowadays? I mean, you have you gone on a date yet?
Yes. Yes. I did go on one day. Actually, I'm going to be honest with you. I went on the last gentleman that I dated. I met through an app that I was also God, this, y'all gonna hear all of my dirt here, but I guess we're here. We might as well. It's what, Friday night. It's time to party. So here we go. Um, yes, the last gentleman I dated, who I ended up getting an actual a text from him or a DM from him on a dating app once he saw me on there. I found him on there. We were chatting at first, and of course I was hesitant on it, and we found out that we were from the same hometown, and we just quickly connected. It didn't turn out, obviously, but it took a while, like a month and a half, before we actually met one another. And he popped in to a place that I was landing, or I popped into the city that he was in, and we had a brief meeting at the airport. Hi, how you doing? Blah blah blah. And then we realized, well, you kind of look like the picture. You kind of look like the picture, and let's move forward. So yeah, it was like a month and a half of just communicating. And how long do people actually do that nowadays before they actually become physical?
Mm.
I mean, honestly, no one else answer that one.
None of us, I guess, are online dating. That's why we don't know. But I know people who meet very quickly, and once that happens, it's like once we meet, it's all go, because the the sexting would have been happening before, so they would have been in a relationship before they met.
So you mean to say that they're sexting before they're actually physical?
Yeah, before they've even laid that eyes on each other. So
Wow. Wow. Okay. Well, okay. I mean, I can't say that that hasn't happened. Well, I'm receiving photos of naked men on a regular, and I try to explain to them that unless it's a welcoming photo, it's not welcomed. It's actually kind of revolting. And I try to explain that to a few men that I was talking to, that immediately were like, here, I want to send you something, or good, lucky you, you got me out of the shower. Here's, whatever. And I'm thinking, really? So just guys out there, just to let you know, that's not a bonus for the women here. But
Some men are just pigs.
True.
yes, yes, yes. But yeah, I can say that I'm not a fan of it, but I guess that's where the world is going. And I kind of I do have a rule the way I work it. Like I said, I go through an app that doesn't allow my phone number. And if I feel comfortable, then I might give out my phone number, and adding them to my social media, my other social media, I guess the Facebook. Um, I don't have a problem doing that once I start chatting, but I do have a restriction on that. They are added in a slot that is very limited on what they can see. So
Cat,
that's how that.
cat's still waiting, Tony.
Oh, go ahead. I thought you were popping. You were saying, go ahead, Judge Cat. Go ahead.
No, first of all, I wanted to say to Michael, always wise words from him. He's brilliant. And then CM, number two, he said, friends of friends. You don't, I don't see you automatically trust friends of friends. You got a word back on that, CM?
Chris?
Oh, well, I mean, it definitely depends on, how well you know that friend. And,
Well,
there's fair weather friends and acquaintances and colleagues. And, I mean, that's kind of just different. Like, I think Melody, or I think it was Melody, or Nelta, that was talking about using, trusting your gut, which I look at that as my intuition.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So just be discerning,
right. But just because it's a friend of a friend doesn't automatically mean you can trust person.
No, absolutely not. No.
No. And soul life,
Yeah, what's your question?
is that a German accent?
Why are you asking?
No, because I'm European.
He's from, I think he's
I'm
from,
international. I'm international. I'm here from Monaco. Lived 5 years in Miami.
Oh, okay, okay, nice.
No, I
He's a
find this.
Miamian.
I find this a very interesting discussion, and congrats to Tonya that you hit this button because it's the greatest problem we have in COVID times, how to get to know each other. We all have fear of each other, and we die of being separated from the environment, and we have to acknowledge this is very important for the future, how to get a contact. And I think the social media as it is like now is not the right place to meet people. If I have not so much experience, but most of the profiles are fake and people are looking for something else. So,
But are you originally from Germany? No,
why are you asking? Where are you from?
I am from Norway.
From Norway. Yes, I may be from Germany, but I'm not German anymore because I live around the world.
Ah,
Century.
okay.
I adapted all the good rules. I would consider myself half French, half American thinking.
Okay.
But when you say this, there is, and because we have some women here, there is in a mountain here near on the French Riviera, there's an old castle. It's half destroyed, but there is what we call a royal garden.
Right.
This is the other thing of love. So there's one tree for the woman and one tree for the man. And around this tree are several plants, and the plants each have a signification, what is important for me. So the man can see what is important for the woman, and the woman can see what is important for the man. And they respect each other's important things. We have forgot this. We are only
Good.
we are fixed on a fast success, but we're not fixed on a common development of man and woman. And this is a very interesting space. And again, Tonya, thanks that you address this. You're a risk taker in these times. We need new ways to get to know each other and to respect each other. That's my speaking. Thanks.
So Tanya, cat's out. Jason's coming on soon.
Yeah, so we're gonna Jason opened up his own space, right? His microphone space. But we have one more speaker that popped in, and I wanted to give her an opportunity to share her thoughts. Demnalat, did I pronounce that right? How are you?
Good evening, or whatever time it is, wherever you all are in the world. I'm well, thank you for asking. So I popped in, and I haven't been in here long, but from what I did hear so far in the conversation, I wanted to speak on, from my own perspective as a neurodivergent person, that online dating and online communication and online community building is very big in the neurodivergent community. And maybe a lot of neurodivergent folks don't feel very comfortable with online dating, especially those of us with issues around social interaction. But I've been using online dating for about, I would say maybe about 15 years in different ways. So back in the day when they used to have the chat rooms like Yahoo, does anyone remember that, or did anyone use those? Yeah, so I've been around for a while. Don't laugh.
I remember.
I've been around for a while using spaces like that before the apps even really were a thing. And then when the apps came around, I kind of was hesitant to add data to my phone to download apps. And then I got into a long-term relationship. But in the last 6 years, I'm polyamorous as an orientation, not a lifestyle. So I've noticed that when I'm online, especially during the pandemic, two things that I noticed during the pandemic on online dating spaces as a woman of African descent and being Gullah American, Black American. Where I live in the Midwest, there are very few other Black people using online dating apps. And over the pandemic, I noticed that the number of Black men that I saw online increased. I guess because everybody's home and everybody's wanting to find someone to talk to. And a lot of the apps added a video chat feature where you can just video from home. I don't know if you guys noticed this, and I don't know what apps that you guys have used, which made it very much easier to get to know someone if you're cool with being on video, which I was not. It's very hard for me to focus while looking at someone new who I don't know. I'd be focusing on their background and their facial expressions. And if I could see myself, then I'd be looking at myself instead of listening to, I knew this about myself. So I never wanted to really use the dating video chat stuff for getting to know people. But what I did notice, the change in how dating was happening over the pandemic, was people were more interested in chatting more through text and on the phone. And then it depends on your age range. I'm trying to accept my cougarhood, so I I decreased my age limit to just get to know what the younger folks were doing and to see what life was like for younger folks dating in their late 20s and older. Although I have no interest in dating those people, just talking to them helps you to learn a lot more about life. And as an autistic person, it also helps you to socialize, to talk to different people from all walks of life. So I think because I had a different end goal with being on online dating apps than the average person, it was a pleasant experience for me, and I learned a lot about myself and a lot about other people. A lot of people are getting on dating apps and looking for sex or the one. Because I'm polyamorous by orientation, the one doesn't exist for me. It didn't exist for me. And so it's a way to get to know other people first. So I would always tell people very early in the beginning, friends first, and if we click on a friendship level, then we can go further. But if I can't even have a decent conversation with you, why would I want to do anything more? Why would I?
Oh my
If
God,
you,
right? I'm sorry to interrupt, but right? Come on.
no, yeah,
Keep going.
yeah.
Right?
Go ahead. If anyone else wants to jump in, go ahead. I don't want to take up a whole lot of time, but
No, I love
that's
hearing
one
this.
of,
This
I
is
just love
awesome.
everything. I just love everything that you just shared there. Every bit of it. And I'm actually neurodivergent myself, so I totally understand a lot of what you're saying there. And just keep it up. I think that's great, and definitely keep sharing, in spaces like this, because more people need to hear that. I followed you, by the way. No obligation to follow back, but I love your train of thought there. So
thank you. So one of the things that I noticed, and I was very intentional about this as well, I'm only realizing now in the last 2 years that I'm neurodivergent, and I was diagnosed in like autistic and ADHD in like June, but I've known it for 2 years. I self-diagnosed. And then what I realized while dating and on during the pandemic, and then setting an intention to meet other neurodivergent people, there are certain apps, believe it or not, that are more conducive to that. And what I found is OkCupid is highly neurodivergent and highly different. You can find people on there that actually will list in their dating profiles that they are neurodivergent. A lot of people of different orientations, a lot of gender non-conforming, trans and non-binary, fluid people on that app. And it's very different than a dating app, say like Bumble, where you have a lot of professionals, or it's geared towards professionals, but even that shifted during the pandemic. So these are some of the things that I noticed. And I think when people decide to be more intentional with their dating and be honest, transparent, and not afraid to be vulnerable. So what I do, and my now current partner kind of asked me about this one day when we were scrolling through a dating app together. So I was showing them, because they had never really used it a lot, any dating apps very much. I show them how I start a conversation, and I go right to the serious. I don't like small talk, so I go right to the juicy stuff. I ask right away, how familiar are you with polyamory? Because although I have this stuff listed in my bio on OkCupid and Bumble, I noticed that in Bumble, it's a very short amount of things to read, and no one was, well, not no one, very few people would actually read my bio. They'd swipe because of what I look like. And so what I learned, because I'm such a nerd, that I also go on Reddit and I read I read subreddits about dating to help me with socializing. And I watch what the people are saying about their dating experience, and oh, it is not good what other people are saying. Their experiences compared to mine are very different. And I noticed that there are a lot of people who get out of long-term relationships. There are a lot of people who are divorcing, who are finding like, oh my gosh, I'm so much out of place in the dating world and I don't like what's in there. I just want to find my one. Instead of going into the dating world and saying, okay, I'm just out of a relationship, even if it's been 6 months or more, I want to just get out and have fun and meet new people. They go into the, I need my person. And if you go into dating with, I need my person, you are going to be highly disappointed with what you find out there.
You need to be your person.
I'm going to
My
agree with you
opinion.
on that because that's what I'm out there, the soulmate, the whole romance, everything. That's what it's on every single one of my
Can we just normalize romancing ourselves?
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, date yourself.
Yeah, it's the
And
best
be
way to go
comfortable with
first.
going out by yourself and enjoying your own company. A lot of people are not comfortable with that. They feel that they need someone else to make them whole. You're whole all alone without dating anyone. But some people, it's hard for them to recognize that. And a lot of people were depressed and going through a lot of struggles over the pandemic. So some people just really did want to only talk, because I wasn't about to meet a damn soul during the pandemic. I didn't want to go anywhere and do anything. And I'd say that up front. I once talked to a woman who, in 6 months of opening up her marriage with 2 small kids, under 3, had dated 22 people in 6 months. I was like, girl,
Holy Toledo.
I just I couldn't wrap my mind around someone being that unsafe. I know it's a judgment. I know people were doing a whole lot of different things during the pandemic, but it was like, oh, I wouldn't date you. I couldn't date you or take you seriously because you're not safe. Like, I'm chronically ill, so I have to be conscious and cautious about how I'm moving in the world. And someone who's looking just to, and I think for her, it was a matter of validation. She wanted to feel appreciated and she wanted to feel beautiful. And she was looking for that through sex, because her husband had found a long-term girlfriend within the 6 months. And she was wanting something similar to what her husband wanted. But I felt desperation all over this woman, and it made me want to stay away. And I think some people don't have enough self-awareness to be on dating apps in the first place. And that's a big thing also with the neurodivergent community, not having the self-awareness to make sense of, you have to be very careful because there are a lot of predators out there and a lot of sex pests.
Yeah.
I don't know. I had a question for Mika. Well, I think it's Mika on the.
Yeah, it's, you can, yeah.
So, one thing that I found just, in the dating app realm or just online in general, but particularly the dating apps mostly as a neurodivergent, is that I have a tendency, like I type or text really fast. If I'm on my laptop, I'll type a whole ton. But if I'm on my phone, even then, I'll end up typing like, I have, my train of thought and I want to say what I'm going to say or just share my heart or whatever. And, I don't even realize it. And then I look down and I wrote a damn near a doctoral thesis,
A
before,
dissertation, yes.
and sometimes it's a little bit, it's a double-edged sword. It's a blessing and a curse. But I found that a lot of these gals, when I talk to them, are pretty rude about it, in the sense like, I'm not going to read that paragraph, blah, blah, blah. And it's a good litmus test, you know? I'm like, well, you know, I
They're
don't even really
lazy.
respond, but I'm like, are you kidding me that somebody just literally took the time and the attention, you know, giving that person the attention they deserve, treating that
Yeah.
encounter with dignity and respect, and just opening up and just engaging someone in a conversation with another human being. You know, like, to not really see the value in that, to not really see, and I don't care if it's anything towards me. I'm not saying like, oh, well, they should be kissing my butt or something, you know, heavens no, but in general, because that I feel like is missing for a lot of people. You know, how many gals get messages from guys that are like, hey babe, are you up? Hey, what you down for? Blah blah blah. You know, like, versus, you know, somebody sharing, you know, about observations from their profile, or asking questions about, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
something they wrote about, or, you know, just
Mm-hmm.
whatever. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird to me.
I understand exactly what you're saying, and that happens because I'm pansexual. So I'm looking at I date trans people, I date women, I date men. There are people who are very lazy about communication, and they don't want. Well, see, you have to think about it this way. So some people are very attractive and they're going to get more hits automatically because a lot of people, especially if you're a woman and even if you're a guy, people are swiping for looks only. So if you look really attractive, you get more attention. Then if you're getting all that attention, you can't communicate deeply with all of those people. Then it's a numbers game. Pick the ones that you think you're more attracted to, whether you're looking for looks or you're looking for depth. That's an individual thing. In my case, I'm always looking for depth first. Looks don't really matter as much if we can connect deeply. I don't care what you look like if we connect deeply. So as just like you, I always find myself typing paragraphs and getting deep into talk. And if I notice that you're hitting me back with a yeah, okay, or thanks, or oh, that's
Right.
cool, it's
Bye.
like, oh, I don't have time. I don't have time to put this much energy and you're not giving it back. So once I state, because on Bumble, the women have to, they have to, they have to match and message. They have to message first, or it
Oh, I
times out
didn't
in
know that.
24 hours.
I
Yeah, for
didn't know
anybody who
that.
doesn't know.
I didn't know
Oh
that.
yeah,
I'm on there, but I didn't know that.
and this is another thing. A lot of women get on the app. Well, people, not just women. A lot of people who are new to online dating, they get on the app and they don't read the information about the app.
Yes.
So what happens is they don't realize that if you're not getting matches, it's because they timed you didn't answer. So once you match for a woman, if you really did swipe because you like the guy and what he wrote, because a lot of guys don't write anything, and I swipe left on if you're too lazy to write anything on a dating app because you're
Come on.
selling yourself on a dating app. Even if you don't want to look at it this way, you have to put your best foot forward. You have to put time and effort into taking your pictures. You have to think about it like this is you selling yourself to a potential friend or even partner, because most people aren't looking for friends first like me. And if you don't do that, your experience is not going to be as good. So what I found is that a lot of guys were complaining that women don't want to talk. And I was like, well, my experience is men don't either. It's just the numbers it's a dating app and a lot of them are free. People are not really, everybody's not putting a lot of effort in it. And so if
I don't
you're
mean to be
attracted,
mean, but I tell them, well, maybe it's just they don't want to talk to you.
that is true. That is 100% true. And I try to read those vibes. And that's why I'm saying you don't give, like CM is saying, if they're giving energy and conversation and the person is lackluster and acting like they have better things to do, then don't waste your time. And then on the other side of that, people will say, well, I'm being ghosted. Well, how much energy are you putting into a conversation? A lot of people get on and they say, let's just hurry up and meet. No, I don't want to hurry up and meet. I don't want to hurry up and meet. Because if you can't talk to me on the daggone phone, why would I want to meet you in person over lunch or dinner or a snack or a walk
Come on.
and it just be awkward as hell? So it's a
You know,
waste of your time if you don't
yeah.
communicate first online where you have the opportunity to get to know someone better. And I'm a little too old right now to be pulling teeth and trying to communicate with a person who doesn't really want to communicate with me. it's like I have people to talk to. I'm not desperate for that. If you're really here to date or make friends like I am, then conversation is necessary. How are we going to get to know each other? I'm supposed to osmosis? Like what?
You know, and you said that about how people, well, I'm just tired of being ghosted, or whatever. And you know, anybody, whatever your gender, whatever your affiliation, whatever identity, it's well within your right as a human being to stop talking, stop communicating with someone for
Yes.
any reason, for whatever
Yes.
reason, whatever reason, and you're not obligated to have to disclose that reason to that person. And the thing about it is that I actually probably literally the hardest, most scariest decision that I ever had to make, that I wrestled with making this decision for, I mean, probably at least a good half a year, with an ex of mine. And I was with her for 3 years, and I knew earlier on that I probably should had ended the relationship peaceably, and it just shouldn't have allowed it to progress as long. But I felt so in over my head, and I love her to death. I always will. But we just were not very good for each other. And so I couldn't imagine my life without her. I couldn't imagine anything. And it gave me so much distress, so much anxiety, just constantly. And anytime I would try to talk to her about the situation, um it usually, and I understand because of fear, and I understand because of just anxiety and previous traumas that people carry. um that's it's kind of a knee-jerk reaction to be defensive, when you're trying to talk about, these are the issues that I'm having, and I just want to address this so that we can work through it, because I never would have even thought of leaving her. It scared me to death. She was somebody that I was very, very close to, probably the best friend that I'd ever had off the internet. And just we connected on such a level, but then also I had kind of assumed a bit of a caregiver role in the relationship, because I was the first person that in real life, off the internet, I shouldn't say real life, but just offline, that she had ever opened up to, about um, the extent of her dissociative identity disorder that she dealt
Oh.
with. And she
Uh-huh.
did a very, I mean, just an exemplary job, uh, kind of protecting herself from,
Mm.
being exposed in that area, to try to manage that system, that she had developed over the years. And so, um, being the only person that she had at the time, or at least to my knowledge, that she could confide in and have a safe space and have somebody to trust, and somebody that's giving each one of her alters a platform and a voice, and to be acknowledged and heard and respected and loved. That was a big deal to both of us. And I was scared to death, because I always encouraged her to, maybe let's look at some support groups. Let's look at some places we can go, like, that have other people that deal with this as well. And we can kind of, maybe we can make you some friends, or somebody, that you can, kind of have a support system, because being the only one, that was so much for me. And I loved it. It was beautiful and rewarding, and just beyond words. But at the same time, I'm not a medical expert. I'm not a professional in any capacity. And there was a lot of heaviness there, that I really wish that she had been able to have people that are more skilled and resourceful to help. Um,
Mm.
So,
And
but to be able to,
uh,
I had to walk away. I had to walk away from the relationship, and every time we would talk, it was just, I ended up, one day I went to work, and I didn't come home. And
Mm.
I
so,
went, and I had to stay at a little homeless shelter.
oh my
I
gosh,
had
Mm.
money.
I
I
can't
was
believe
paying for
that.
our rent. I was paying our home. We had a beautiful little, 2.5 bedroom home in Colorado Springs that I was renting. I was paying everything, and working
Mm.
hard, because I loved her and loved the family we were building
I'm
together.
sorry. I'm sorry
But
that happened to you, but I
But
yeah,
understand.
you know what we're gonna do? I would like to continue this
go ahead, sure.
conversation. But we're gonna have to do it at another time. It's 6:58, and actually, Denise told me a story of what had happened to her. That, oh my gosh, we need to do a space just to have a whole conversation about this, because I am like
Mm.
in shock. But I appreciate everyone, and I want to be mindful because our time, because we literally started at 5 o'clock and it was supposed to be
Wow.
in at 6, but it was
Oh,
the
wow.
conversation was so good that I didn't want to end it like that. But Chris, thank you for being here, for sharing so much of your heart, and like I said, you are still optimistic, and I love you
Anytime.
for it. I love you for being who you are, and I appreciate you for that. And Mika, oh my gosh, I am so following you right now. And please follow back. I love to do a space with you. I do a space about accessibilities with my good friend Brent. So we do all kind of different conversation. And Denise here is one of my newest friend, and I freaking love her
Oh,
because
thank
we are
you.
like from the same area. So we're gonna do a space about what you talked about. And Solar, again, always I appreciate you and Nick. Nick, oh my gosh, thank you so much for being here. And Melody, you rock. You are the love expert because I use you.
Melody's awesome.
Melody's awesome. Yeah, but I'm gonna have her write a review about you. Even though I interviewed, it wasn't even an interview. I just wanted to chat with you like on space. So I appreciate you
Thank
for being
you.
part of
I've
this.
enjoyed listening to everybody, and everyone is so like, yeah, amazing, amazing, amazing conversation. I've learned a lot.
Yeah, me too. Oh my gosh. So everybody, make sure you follow each other. I'll be back next Friday at 5 p.m. But let's stay in touch, DM, because I want Denise, you and I should just pop up another space, and we'll bring Melody in again because
Right.
and also bring Mika in because I love her freaking energy and her thoughts and her way she is, and so upfront, so real.
Well, I kind of made a post with somebody else. I want or earlier a little tweet. When I made a comment on my little tweet, I guess my Twitter about dating empty nester dating. Like I wanted to do something about
Oh,
that tonight and at 8. And then I actually went on to try to figure out how to post that or tweet that, and I couldn't figure it out. And I saw you there. I was like, oh, I've got to jump on. So maybe you can help me with that too.
Yeah.
Or else if
Just
you
send me
want
a
to go
minute
here,
and
we
I'll
can go
help you
here.
with it. I'll help you with it.
Okay,
Yeah. And I'll pop in later. And so,
perfect.
yeah, I thank goodness I'm not an empty nester. Well, I am an empty nester, but I have 4 dogs. Those are my babies. So like, I'm not quite an empty nester yet.
I'm
Oh,
not
So,
an
I'm
empty
completely
nester
empty.
either. So
I just have a couple of ants, those Florida ants that come in. That's about it.
they never leave home. Nelta, thank
you
you
all
so
have a good
much.
weekend.
Okay, everybody, have a great weekend. And I
Y'all
appreciate you
have a good
guys. Take care.
Bye
take
Bye
bye,
bye.
everybody,
care.
guys.
Bye.
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 bye.